shit you got up here. This is a lot of stuff.
I mean, if you have anything else.
I should have.
We're live.
Oh, are we?
Oh!
Thanks for the heads up. Good morning. Thank you for everyone joining us. This is another lovely Sunday morning, and we have for you the Speaker's Corner. There are 4 corners this morning on the Speaker's Corner. I am Jeff Wheeler here in the shadow of the Gold Dome in a lovely sunny Sunday morning in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. Let me go ahead and introduce the other person here from Atlanta, Frank Heathington. Say good morning, Frank.
You didn't say illustrious.
I'm not done yet. And let me go ahead and go south for our next co-host of Michelle Lynch. Say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Michelle.
Okay, you don't have to literally say that, but okay. And for our most northern host, it's probably still 60 degrees up there, seeing as New York has not really had that much winter yet, eh?
No, it was actually in the 30s yesterday. Holy smokes! But it's gonna go back up to the 60s on Wednesday.
Okay, there we go.
It was in the 30s in Florida too yesterday.
Yeah, Atlanta's supposed to have 78 degrees for Christmas Day. It's gonna be redonkulous.
78. Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be redonkulous. So this is your illustrious cast that will be bringing to you all of the topics that we want to discuss with you today that we all get to think about. So last night there was a Democratic National Committee debate. Did anybody watch?
DNC.
DNC.
No.
Negative.
No? Okay, so there was a couple of tidbits and morsels that came from the debate. First, and the one that I was kind of bringing out, well, let me start with the Manhattan Project for Encryption. Hillary Rodham Clinton said in the debate that she supported the concept of a Manhattan Project for a Manhattan-like project for encryption. So first off, I want to say that's an idiotic idea. Second off, it proves that she has no understanding of what encryption is or how it should be implemented.
Yeah,
which
this is coming
seems
from the woman that said that when she was under investigation by Congress, they asked her to clean the server, and she says, with what, a cloth?
Wow. So, again, that goes to our current politicians generally have no true understanding of encryption or real data policy, yet they're getting fed lines from individuals that are outside. So if any of our audience is not familiar, the Manhattan Project was a project during the Second World War where Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom all paired together to come up with weapons ideas to fight in the Second World War. And the culmination of that project, which almost 100 people died during that project, in the formulation of that project, was the atomic bomb in which many, many, many more people died. So she's saying that we need to fight encryption with a project that is multinational and kills people in the process of making it, and is completely secret.
I think that is such a flat-footed way of putting it, and you know that.
Yeah.
It's
what I call insightful. I'm trying to go ahead and...
That's not insightful. That's delightful to your devious mind.
That's not insightful, S-I-G-H-T. It's inciting, yes.
That's what I'm looking at. That's
yes.
Michelle sees what I did there.
Yeah, that's lunacy. Those are some logical fallacies you've got going on.
Yeah, but it's a slight stretch. It's a slight stretch.
So
the rubber band done broke, my friend.
But my point still is that she doesn't understand encryption, and it still is the concept of a secret program to figure out one magical solution, a magic bullet that will solve our encryption problems once and for all. And that's not the way that computer security has ever been effectual.
That's not the way security has ever been effectual. I mean, if you look at the Enigma machine and anything else that we've had to decrypt, I mean, it's always changing. That's the only way it's going to be. You're going to get good security is just keep changing it.
And look at locks. Locks have been around for eons, right? And they tried to come up with an unpickable lock to where someone could not pick a particular type of lock in the 1800s, and somebody came up with what they thought was an unpickable lock, but it only lasted 20 years. And so there is no magic solution that does that. All you get to do is slow it down and make it harder. And the same thing applies for security. There is no such thing as complete and utter security. If you have data and you have it accessible, if anyone can get in there, somebody who's not supposed to get in there can theoretically get in there.
And I also think you were a little harsh on her, expecting her to know everything, and because she's got fed this from somebody. She's supposed to get fed it from somebody. I don't think she's supposed to know everything, but she's supposed to surround herself with intelligent people that do know and can inform her and break it down into very simple terms that even the layman can understand.
Well, being so important for our national economy, the IT world is a significant industry for the United States, and we export our IT-ness in lots of ways. Apple is a United States company, Facebook is a United States company, Google is a U.S. company. All of those are behemoths in the world of technology and behemoths in the world of all companies. Apple is the highest market capitalization of any company on the planet. And to that end, it only makes sense that that somebody in the field understands that business. And I can't think of a single person in the Republican or Democratic field who understands that business.
Okay.
Carly Fiorina should, but she brought us the HP iPod.
But you're not. Here's the thing: is this gets us back to, like, once again talking about we live in a democracy, not a technocracy.
Correct.
And we will never have a technocracy because that's just not the way it works. Because the moment someone starts to speak in, like, someone speaks as a knowledgeable person, it goes over the head of the majority of the electorate. It's not digestible. It's not. You're not able to put it on a bumper sticker or a quick speaking note. Once you start to talk details, everyone just kind of goes, bleh. I mean, you look at the last guy. I think of who was the Republican candidate from Arizona, New Mexico, Huntsman.
Yep.
He started to speak a little bit too, the fact that, like, when it came to, like, talking Chinese relations, he actually spoke in Mandarin, and that what should have been like, oh wow, this guy speaks fluent Mandarin, it became this guy speaks fluent Mandarin. What the hell is he going to be able to do? Whereas, like, talking tough on China translates to a better bullet point on a paper. So I don't fault her for saying something that maybe you or I or Michelle or other viewers know is kind of just crap, but it translates Manhattan Project for Encryption. That looks great on a bumper sticker or a t-shirt.
It does.
I understand that. And as much as, like, the internet is a series of tubes, it's a visual. And unfortunately, the average folk need that. And now, let me rephrase that. The average, somebody help me here because I'm not saying we're exceptional or anything.
No.
Right, but to the casual observer.
Right.
Yes.
To the not invested observer, it's something that they can quickly digest.
Right. Now, whether or not it's leading them down the wrong path, I think it does lead them down the path of it's going to be something that we're going to have coalitions with other good, friendly states and friendly countries. Whether or not it'll kill people, I don't know, Jeff.
I don't think it's going to kill anybody. But my base answer is it comes from the presumption, which is the easy to digest assumption, that you solve it once and it will fix all of the issues. You come up with a magic bullet and you solve it, which I think is a fallacy.
What isn't a fallacy is this show.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Speaking on technology, the other one is Tim Cook this week was interviewed and got a little bit hussy with his interviewer about how much corporate taxes Apple pays. He says Apple pays every single dollar of taxes that we owe, yet 40% of their profits stay overseas because he said in the interview, because I would be taxed at 40% on that, and that's idiotic. That's just not smart. Or he didn't say idiotic, but he said effectively that it wasn't smart, and that our tax code was broken and it needs to get fixed now.
Is it pronounced kook?
I don't think it's Cook. I think.
Well, you said Tim Cook. Was that a Freudian slip?
He's a kook.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's kooky. This podcast.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. What was your opinion of this, Jeff?
I think that Apple pays a good number of taxes, but I think he brings up a valid point, is that our tax code was designed around the 1800s and the 1920s, and the way that things were made and developed and moved around at that point. And that in our highly liquid and easily movable, you don't move a factory overnight. So therefore, making a tax code that makes that presumption that real estate and physical production happens in one place for long periods of time, that's not what exists in our internet economy. In some of these large corporations, they can move their entire operation overseas in the matter of a week.
So there might be some money that we're missing out on there.
Well, it's not just money that we're missing out on. It's just that you can't, the assumptions that are made in tax don't work in our modern outsourced economy.
Yeah.
So is it less taxes or more taxes that the companies would be paying? Sorry, Tom.
No.
Well, it's appropriate taxes to their operations. They've been able to manipulate their operations in order to minimize the tax burden, which is natural for a company to do, right? But it's now much easier to manipulate your operations to minimize your tax burden. Whereas 100 years ago, if you wanted to sell sugar to farmers, you'd have to make the sugar in the United States and ship it to the farmers. Now they can make the sugar in frickin' Jakarta and ship it here, and the cost is the same as if they were doing it here, and then they get to save on all the taxes.
Got it. So either way, it's an opportunity to readjust.
It's an opportunity for them to manage their way to avoid taxes instead of actually being tax frauds. They get to manage so that they miss taxable events.
Right. Well, he said they paid all the necessary taxes. That being the term.
Right. Right. He pays every dollar of taxes that they owe. And
yeah.
I think he also said that they are the largest taxpayer in the United States.
Really?
I don't know if that's true or not, but
I guess I was thinking Walmart
concept.
Could be, but yeah, definitely. Here's
You
another
say you
interesting. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say you said you can't move a factory overnight, but through tax inversion you could basically do it at the drop of a hat.
Mm-hmm. And
so
Merck, I think Merck is doing that. One of the pharmaceuticals is doing a tax inversion.
Pfizer was trying to. I don't know if they were able to do it or not. I know they were trying to merge with a British company.
If I know Pfizer found a way.
But I wouldn't. Merck may as well as they have already done it. Maybe Pfizer failed. But that's a way of successfully, not moving a factory, but kind of
moving the ownership of a
basically the
factory.
equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's good points. I think that our tax code is outdated. I think that's something. Has anybody talked about that?
They've given it lip service, but nobody's really speaking to it in meaningful terms.
Because again,
it's a third rail.
Mm-hmm.
We seem to be speaking in meaningful terms about things like drones, right?
Although they screwed that up.
Oh, God.
So the rule that was released this past week says that you have to register your drone. If you get one now, you have to register it before you fly it. And if you have a drone now, you have to register it before February 1 or February 15 or something like that of next year. And the only thing that is registerable is a device that flies that's over 250 grams of lifted weight. So therefore, your thrust is not equated in that, which means that you can actually have something that is significantly heavier than 250 grams by the way that they worded it, but your actual payload weight, so anything that creates thrust doesn't count. So all of the other pieces have to count towards your weight. So the battery and the motors don't count for weight, but everything other than the batteries and motors, right, count as weight. And so therefore, there's going to have a lot of, because of the way they wrote the rule, there's going to be a lot of manipulation of the way that drones are produced so that they meet that 250 gram rule.
Damn.
And you don't have to register them. On top of that, if you own more than one drone, you're supposed to post the same number on all of your drones. So that means that you are really more getting a pilot's registration number and not necessarily a drone registration number.
Because it's you, not your drone.
So let's take it one more step further. If I knew you had a drone and I happened to go over to your house and look at the drone number, I just pick that up and then post it on my DJI drone, fly it over the White House and crash it into the White House. Do you think I'm going to get a phone call, or do you think you are because your number's on it?
You're both going to get a phone call, would be my guess. But yes,
how would they know who it was that piloted it, except for the number that's on there? If you put somebody else's number on there, Bob's your uncle.
That's a stupid point, because I could buy a plane and do the exact same thing.
Well, except for the fact that you don't. Each plane has a unique identifier, theoretically.
Theoretically,
right?
Can I strip the? Isn't it equivalent to like stripping the VIN from a car?
Except for the fact that
the word is yes, Jeff.
Yeah.
The word you're looking for is yes.
I don't think it is.
You can't just take it off?
Because it's like saying that every Chevy has the same first 12 numbers, and so therefore those are the only ones that are in a VIN, and you get to have that, and you get to use that on as many as you want, right? The point is that one pilot can have multiple drones, and that be perfectly within the rules, right? If they find a DJI drone and it has a registration number that's supposed to be for a husband style of drone, then they go, oh, these don't match, somebody must have faked it, right?
Right.
But because there's one registration number for multiple drones, they don't have anything that actually tracks it to the drone.
Is there any way to know how many drones somebody has?
Not in the current implementation of the rule.
Oh my God!
You register for a drone as a pilot, and then your unique identifier must be put on any and all drones that you fly.
Will this curb drug drones?
I can't imagine why it would.
Damn. Okay. All right. So I can't find any good reason why we're doing this.
Well, because it's knee-jerk reaction. It's people trying to make a rule and they don't understand the easy ways around it.
Yikes!
You know,
the easy ways around it is just to, like allow me to throw rocks at drones. I'd like a license to do that.
Well, and the 250 gram weight thing is good for drug drones, and it's good for camera drones, or it's good for the other things that they were trying, and people putting weapons on there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the YouTube video of the guy putting the handgun on his drone. And
any of that kind of stuff is definitely going to be above the 250 gram limit, because that's lifted weight and it's not used for thrust. So
right.
So therefore, those things would certainly be drones that officially, by the rule, are going to be licensed.
Yes.
I have a question for you then, Jeff.
Yeah.
So is having a drone or flying a drone a right or a privilege?
Privilege.
Neither. It's currently undefined in the law. In my opinion, it falls under the, if you're not messing with anybody else, you ought to be able to do whatever the hell you want.
So to me, it's almost like a hunting license.
No!
I think it's just like a hunting license. So if you want to go out and you want to, it's a sport, and you go out and you use the object.
Except for you're harvesting it with hunting. You are harvesting a natural resource.
The air is a natural resource.
He has a good point. You are taking up space in it. Yes, you are. You're taking up space in my resource of my air and my space above my sky.
So then we need to have it the same way that Wi-Fi is. You are using up spectrum on the Wi-Fi bands when you put in a Wi-Fi access point.
No,
do you think you need to have a license to put in a router in your house?
You're talking about apples and oranges.
No, airspace is airspace.
Airspace is airspace.
It's saying Wi-Fi signal through the air is not a solid object. It's a frequency wave.
Understood, but it interferes with other people's ability to use it.
And legally, that's where the precedent comes from, is having things fly over somebody's, the birds fly over somebody's house is where you get that privacy from. So
I still think you should have a license.
I think we've been droning on about this for too long. You see what I did there? Yeah.
How long did that brew in your brain, Tom?
The moment you started talking about it, I was just waiting for it.
Have we been droning long enough?
Yeah, I'm drooling.
You see how I served that volleyball up to you, Tom?
Well, coming up this week is Solstice on Tuesday. If anybody is going to take off all their clothes and jump into some lake or something, because
it is truly the reason for the season.
The reason, truly
the reason for the season.
Indeed.
And Tuesday.
And what?
And that's Tuesday, the winter solstice, the official first day of winter in the Western Hemisphere, or the
Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, someone could tell Florida that, in Georgia and all the way up, that coming up now.
Supposed to be winter, kids.
Supposed to be winter, not 75 on Christmas. Which Christmas is coming up also. Christmas is on Friday. Right before Christmas, we celebrate Washington's birthday, which anyone that's old enough to remember, it was done in a couple different holidays before. We did it as President's Day. And let's see, the last one is Kwanzaa. So happy Kwanzaa.
Every time I hear Kwanzaa, I think of the Lion King.
That's racist. It runs until January 1st.
And so it starts on Saturday, so it's like 6 days, 7 days?
I'm going to have to stop us on one thing before we get too far, because something sounded questionable. Thursday's not Washington's birthday.
Well, then why did my thing say that?
I don't know, because I was about to say
it's in like February or something?
It's in February.
That's right.
Is it George Washington Carver's birthday?
Oh, maybe. I'm going to check now.
Carver's birthday.
Oh, boy.
Because he was one of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Thank you, Tom. Though, like as I was saying that, I'm like, this is February. Why? I'm looking now.
No, George Washington Carver was in January. Wait, he died in January. When was he born?
No, Thursday, December 24th is a state holiday. Washington's birthday in Georgia, which is probably why I put it on there, and Indiana.
Because that's
what?
So you guys celebrate Washington's birthday
2 months
on
early.
December 24th, 2 months early. Love you, Georgia.
What?
Oh, that's just great. And then on the Kwanzaa, I will poach. I did watch. I let go of my brief boycott of Saturday Night Live, and I watched it last night because it was a great episode with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Oh man!
And then special guest out of nowhere, Paul McCartney joined the E Street Band on stage at the end. It was nuts. But during their weekend update, they made the joke about Kwanzaa. Michael Che saying the only people who celebrate it are Rachel Dolans and McDonald's.
Hurts my heart just a little.
Michael Che was like, yeah.
So speaking of
no
live,
one's celebrating it anymore.
Speaking of live television, C-SPAN this past week had a little blunder that came on. There was on the Democratic hotline, as a senator was on the TV, someone chimed in with some show saying, yeah, everybody's talking about doing this and that and the other thing. I don't know where all the money comes from. That's my first question. My second question is, can I eat out of your mouth? Can I in your mouth? And I'm like,
C-SPAN? C-SPAN, where they watch like Congress do things like
That's
your
right.
local
That's
government.
right. They were interviewing some senator and some guy because there's really no delay on it, and the guy was a
Representative
little
Dave
bit asleep.
Bratt,
The guy was
Republican
a little bit
for
asleep.
Virginia.
Yeah, he was a little bit asleep at the switch, and it got on the air, and then the guy quickly went, we can't accept any of that. We have to move on. Moving on.
Don't they
I'm
know
sick
to have
and
a
tired of-
5-second delay?
I'm sick and tired of politicians dodging questions from the people. He did not answer. This is just typical Beltway politics where they don't want to respond to the inquiries of the people.
To the serious inquiries of the people, what they really want to know.
Americans have demanded whether or not they can shit in his mouth, and I think he owes it to America to respond.
We want to know.
That's right. That's right. So speaking of things that are wrong to say, apparently Clinton was bumbled a little bit and said, and I quote, "The back door is the wrong door." Or it might have been, maybe the back door is the wrong door.
She was trying to get inside.
She was talking about security and whether or not companies should put in back doors to their security or encryption, and her statement was, maybe the back door is the wrong door.
And then the
But
trolls
that's another
took it
anal
away.
joke.
Yes.
Anywhere. Yes.
You can make a punchline about Silicon Valley.
Oh.
Wow.
I stole that from
excited.
Reddit. I just saw that from Reddit. So I'll have to. I can't take full credit for that. But that was good.
So speaking of, Star Wars happened this past week, and I will not say anything other than there are many Easter eggs on the internet. Has anyone taken, perchance, any of those Easter eggs and played with any of them? On Spotify, you can make your progress bar be a lightsaber that goes across.
Oh, like on Google, I can change my
If you go
character.
Google.com/Star Wars, and it will let you have your Google Maps have the Millennium Falcon as work, and
Yeah, you showed that to us before. That was awesome.
so that's one of the Easter eggs. There's probably a dozen or so on the internet.
A dozen Easter eggs.
Wah, wah.
Okay.
Eggs,
All right, there
eggs.
you go.
Here, tell them about Waze.
Oh, and Waze, yes. Waze does something. It speaks to you in Star Wars or something? Go.
It's C-3PO.
C-3PO tells you your directions? That's awesome.
Yes, yes. And he gets very upset when there's traffic.
Oh, I'm very...
The odds of making it to work are 116 million to 1. Never tell me the odds.
And if you need some positive affirmation, he does call you master quite frequently.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, nice.
He's such a bottom.
Oh, the fun never ends.
Do you have anything that...
Oh, we're horrible people.
Speaking of horrible people, oh wait, no, we don't have the you don't have the asshats, do we?
Well, Assad is always going to be like, he moves into the Hall of Fame, but Martin Shkreli, the former CEO of that pharmaceutical company, Renro, he's the pharma bro who jacked up by 500% the anti-parasitic drug. And then, douchey bro, he's the guy who apparently bought the Wu-Tang album. That Wu-Tang made an album and was only going to sell one copy for $2 million. Yeah, you didn't hear about this. It's fascinating. It was like they were trying to bring back music to bring it back to its true art roots, and so they were creating a work of art that they would sell to one person, and they could, they had the choice. They have like a, they can't resell it for there's like a year, there's a how many year ban before you could reproduce it. He could put it online for free, but he's a farmer bro. He ain't gonna do it.
Right.
So he got arrested this past week for basically running, a borderline Ponzi scheme. He was basically bilking his hedge fund to pay off personal debts and non-company obligations. So he's probably going to go to federal pound me in the ass prison. And I'm not sad. I'm not sad at all because he's a farmer douche. And so he moves in. He joins many illustrious people in the Asshat Hall of Fame. He's retired and no longer can be declared an asshat.
Yeah, Bernie Madoff. He joins in. He'll be his cellmate.
Bernie Madoff will be his cellmate.
I feel like illustrious is too good for those people.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Congratulations to NWA for making the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this week.
Hey, is that right?
Well, they induct. They're inducted.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Correct.
Totally.
Nice.
Apparently, Mr. Scully was the hedge fund manager for Jim Cramer's hedge fund.
Oh, jeez.
Help me understand what that means.
He's the Mad Money.
The guy that,
Mad Money that screams and makes the noise things. But apparently 10 years ago, he started running his hedge fund and made him some money.
See, here's the problem with hedge funds and hedge fund managers is, this is also the problem. We could have a whole episode talking about why the 401k and all these type of things are the biggest scam put on the American people when it comes to retirement ever.
Uh-huh.
The gradual replacement of pensions with these investment portfolios is the biggest scam ever. But that's a whole episode. It's a whole episode. We got a lot of whole episodes.
I'm sorry. Before, are you in agreement with that, Jeff? I'm just curious.
I don't think that it's. I would love to hear Tom's opinion before I place mine down.
Fair enough.
I would agree. I would want you to hear.
I bet he has a very valid argument.
My initial reaction is what, but yeah, then as I think about it, I'm like, that sounds about right, actually.
I don't know that it sounds right, but I would be interested to hear what Tom has to say.
I think it sounds.
I would be happy to share, and let's mark that down as something to talk about.
Definitely.
Yeah. But what I'm going to talk about now is my classic favorite bit of things that piss Tom off that shouldn't piss Tom off.
Okay, what is that, Tom?
It's gonna be the new Star Trek movie.
What?
Agreed.
All right, so I'll explain why it pisses me off, and then I'll explain why it shouldn't piss me off. So the new, trailer for the new Star Trek movie came out. Apparently, what had happened is it leaked. Like there was a European version, and it had leaked on the internet, so they went ahead and released an English language version. And basically, this movie, it was like painfully obvious from the trailer, and then afterwards I was like, oh, it was directed by a Fast and Furious director. Totally makes sense because this looks like the Fast and Furious in space, replete with a motorcycle jump. And I was like, I didn't realize motorcycles existed in the Star Trek universe. Fascinating. All to the sounds of Beastie Boys' Sabotage.
I do want to mention that the version that you saw is, I think, the immediate version that they sent out that was the English translation version, because the version that I saw right before Star Wars was slightly different. And they may have taken some information. They toned down the music. It only comes in like halfway through. You get to hear it. So they may have heard some of these complaints about it. Still, regardless, I agree. It's not, for me, Star Trek is an intellectual series, not an action series.
Right. And so why it shouldn't piss me off. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad because that's exactly No. I'm saying thank you because that's exactly why it pissed me off for that reason. Why it shouldn't piss me off is the movie hasn't come out yet, and also Simon Pegg, who I didn't realize Simon Pegg actually was involved in the writing of this film, and even he said Simon Pegg was like, yeah, I think that trailer was a bit of a mistake because it's not really capturing what we were doing in the film. There's a lot of character development, and for those of you who know Simon Pegg, he plays Scotty in the Star Trek new movies, and he's also you know him from Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and the Underworld.
He's a popular British actor.
Very popular, smart British actor. So hearing him, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna breathe and back off and not be as pissed off as I was.
So this is for episode 8?
The Star Trek. Trek.
Oh, it's the Trek, not Star Wars. Star Trek. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there another?
Jeff's already ready for the next movie. He's like, where's that coming out? Come on.
Boy.
Gimme.
Star Wars is an action film. Like that's an action series. That I'm not getting my high-tech stuff from Star Wars.
Right.
But Star Trek, I'm expecting a little bit more politics and understanding of characters.
Which is why Star Trek always worked best on television. I mean, give me another season, The Next Generation, over a movie.
Yeah. Amen. I hope this is going to lead to a new series.
There is going to be. I believe they said there will be a new Star Trek series coming.
Okay.
It's in pre-production.
Let's hope that it's coming to a streaming service. Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, somebody streaming.
It has to.
No, it doesn't.
I'm saying I'm telling the world it has to.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's going to, Jeff. But you're right. But I want the world to know that it should.
I want it to be on the CW. It's going to be on the CW.
Probably will. That's just the way it turns. Or Bravo.
What was it?
Bravo.
Will you accept it on a streaming service if it's released streaming the day after it's on live television?
No. I'm saying that I enjoy the series that are able to make themselves standalone on a streaming service. So like House of Cards for Netflix, that is released primarily on that streaming service.
Yeah, I'm tired of the day one drop of everything.
I'm okay with them rolling it out.
You know I'm anti-binge. So.
And I'm okay with them rolling it out. Right? I'm okay with, if they did it on a streaming service, doing it in chunks, right? Doing 3 episodes at a time kind of thing. Instead of having a 12-episode binge they require you.
I think part of the advantage to the streaming service versus putting it on network television is that you're going to not have to be censored in many ways. And for Star Trek, that's not typically a problem. Yeah. So I don't see. I think for the networks, they're going to beg to have this on
That's
true.
Television. That's true.
But yeah, either way, I'll watch it.
Yep. Well, then it has become the end of the morning. So shall the end of the morning be the end of this show? I say so.
I do agree.
And as Hillary Clinton said last night, may the force be with you.
Arr.
And also with you.
That was her closing remark, and so that will begin our closing remarks. We've discussed things today that are just amazing to talk about. Take them to your water cooler talks the entire week, but you don't have to think like me.
You don't have to think like me.
Oh, you don't have to think like me.
I don't think.
But we ask you, as our audience, to think.
Always. See you next week or next year.
Right?